The word of the week this week is a viewer request, and it's not a word, it's a phrase. Let's take a look at our phrase for the week. Somatiko ede, in bodily appearance or in bodily form. So you'll notice that the phrase is in the dative case. Both words are in the dative case. They come from, here are the nominative case examples. They come from somatikos, bodily, and eidos, appearance or form. So somatikos, now I want to pause for a second. There's another word, somatikos, which is an adverb, omega sigma, not omicron sigma. Our word today is somatikos, not somatikos, if you decide to go pull out your lexicon and dig through that. But somatikos is pertaining to or referring to the physical body. It's emphasizing corporeality. And then eidos is form, shape, or appearance, but it's distinct from, say, morphe or schema. So morphe, like metamorphosis, the form of something that depicts its genuine being, or schema, like a schematic, that's a representation of the full pattern of how something is. It's the way someone is. But eidos is specifically visual. So if you think about the second aorist tense verb eidon, I saw, they're related. So eidos, appearance, form, as it looks to the human eye. So the phrase that we're looking at this week is in Luke's gospel, and it's in the account of the baptism of Jesus, where Luke says the Holy Spirit came down in bodily appearance like a dove upon him, upon Jesus. But before we dig into that in depth, let's take a quick look at the other three gospels and that phrase. And all three of these will be from the ESV. Matthew 3:16 says, "And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove." And like a dove here is hose peristeran. So hose is a combination of hos, like or as, and a, if. And so Matthew's account says he saw the Spirit of God descending as if a dove, as if it were, as though it were a dove. Not a dove, the Spirit of God, but as though it were, as if it were a dove. Mark chapter 1, verse 10 says, "And the Spirit descending on him like a dove." Not hose, just hos, as or like peristeron, a dove. And then John chapter 1, verse 32 is John quoting John the Baptist. "I saw the Spirit descend from heaven like a dove." Again, hos peristeron, just like Mark, hos peristeron, like or as a dove. Not a dove, like a dove. But Luke has a much more vivid and specific description. I'm going to read Luke chapter 3, verses 21 and 22 from the ESV before we dig into the Greek. "Now when all the people were baptized, and when Jesus also had been baptized and was praying, the heavens were opened, and the Holy Spirit descended on him in bodily form like a dove. And a voice came from heaven, 'You are my beloved Son, with you I am well pleased.'" So let's look at this phrase about the Holy Spirit descending in bodily form like a dove. So katabenai, notice please there's a typo in your slide that you're viewing in the transliteration. Katabenai to pneuma to hagion. So to pneuma to hagion, the Spirit, the Holy One, the Holy Spirit, katabenai, came down. So the Holy Spirit came down, and then we get our phrase of the week, somatiko ede, in bodily appearance, in bodily form, hos peristeron, like a dove. So the Holy Spirit came down in bodily form like a dove. Our phrase, somatiko ede, is both in the dative case, is called a dative of manner, describing the manner in which the Holy Spirit came down. In what manner? In a bodily appearance, in a bodily form. And what kind of bodily form? Hos peristeron, like or as a dove. Is it a dove? No, it's not a dove. It's the Holy Spirit that descended, not a dove, but it descended in somatiko eide, in bodily form, in a form that is visually recognizable. And what is that form? Like that of a dove. Okay, so I'm going to put something up on the screen for you to look at. What is that you're looking at? If you are even a little child, you can probably look at that and say, why, that is a giraffe. But you are incorrect. That is not a giraffe. That is the bodily form of a giraffe. That is the silhouette of a giraffe. It's recognizable as having the features of a giraffe, but I think you would agree with me that that thing that you are looking at is not a giraffe. What is it? It is somatiko eide hos camel-leopard. Right? In the ancient world, they called giraffes camel-leopards. It has the neck of a camel and the spots of a leopard. But that thing that you're looking at is not a giraffe. It is the depiction of the body form of a giraffe graphically. It's not even really a picture. It's an electronic file composed of ones and zeros, right? But you know, because of your catalog of information that you've accumulated through your life, that that body form is that of a giraffe. Let's do another one quickly. This is not a dove, my friends. This is somatiko eide hos peristeron. Here it is the outline, the silhouette, the bodily form, the bodily appearance of a dove, but it's not a dove, right? This is just a picture of a dove. So what does Luke tell us in chapter 3, verse 22 about the descent of the Holy Spirit? He says it came down with a bodily appearance recognizable to the crowd as what? As being like that of a dove, but it's not a dove. It's the Holy Spirit. He's already told us it's the Holy Spirit and that it's not a dove. Why does he stress this? It's likely that his is the last or the second to the last gospel to be written. Is it possible that there's been discussion in the Christian community as the telling of the story has gone throughout the countryside and increasingly out into the world, that some people say, well, a dove came down and lighted upon Jesus, but that dove should be interpreted as sent by God and a spiritual manifestation. Remember, all four Gospels say hos peristeron, not a dove, but like a dove. So in the text of all four, they don't say that a dove landed on him. They say that the Spirit landed on him. Matthew says Spirit of God. Mark and John say Spirit. Luke says the Holy Spirit. But all four of them say that this is the Spirit that landed upon Jesus, and it was not a dove, but like a dove. Luke, perhaps writing last, perhaps batting cleanup, being meticulous as he tends to be, phrases this in such a way that there can be no misunderstanding. When the Holy Spirit descended upon Jesus, upon him, ep auton, it says at the end of the verse, he descended somatiko eide, in bodily form, in bodily appearance, hos peristeron, like a dove. The people who were there would recognize the form as being the form like a dove, but clearly he wants us to know, not a dove, the Holy Spirit. I think what he did is pretty brilliant in that regard. He fleshes it out, so if there was discussion in the community, if there was a variant telling of the story, it was a dove landed on him, but it was really the Spirit. Luke wants to be crystal clear. Not a dove. Not a dove. But when the Holy Spirit descended, he manifested in a physical appearance, somatiko eide, right? in a bodily form that was readily recognizable by everyone there, so that they could also bring into that the theological implications of a dove being present in this watery place where there's an announcement of peace and favor being made, and that they could read into that. But he wanted to be crystal clear that no one came away thinking this was in fact a dove. This wasn't a bird. This wasn't a dove. This was the Holy Spirit, somatiko eide, in bodily appearance, hos peristeron, like that of a dove. Pretty powerful stuff, pretty great stuff. Somatiko eide is our phrase of the week, bodily appearance, bodily form. I hope that was good for you. I hope that was good for our viewer who made the request. And until next time, Karis Kai Reina Humi, grace and peace to you.